Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Universalis for MEIOU and Taxes 3.0 with me, Alpha Omega, and the Ottoman Devlet. So this is another Intermezzo episode, because believe it or not, it has been more than 60 years since we last looked at our empire, which has grown quite significantly. So let us start as usual by looking at the history. So you guys know that we started with Orhan Gazi, who died I think like 2 years into the game. Then we had the rule of Mehmed I, who was covered in the first update. Then had Murad II. We had Murad I here. Haha, I've actually skipped over him. He ruled for only 6 years. Yep, I was the son of Orhan. So Orhan, Murad I, then Mehmed I. Then we had Murad II, who ruled from 1412 to 1448. Then came Mehmed II from 1448 to 1473. And this is actually the ruler who was on the throne, or for 2 years on the throne, as we did the last update. So Mehmed II ruled until 1473. He was involved in quite a lot of fights in the minor Osmanli conquest of Famagusta, in the brief second Osmanli Jihad, Slavani conquest of Devlet, minor Slavani conquest of Imereti, the short Osmanli conquest of Kaffa, and during his reign we saw him add the provinces of Kosovo, Rhodos, Lefkosia, Matracha, Kaffa, Nisoy, Aigayo, Strumica, Velbasht, Dodekanesos, Cherkio, Famagusta, Magnesia, and Melnik. Then came the rule of Mehmed III, who ruled from 30th of December 1473 to 25th of July 1503, who fought the wars of the short Third Osmanli Jihad, the Osmanli conquest of Angelokastron, brief Osmanli conquest of Tarnovo, and he added provinces of Kayseri, Angelokastron, Serdica, Amasya, Lovech, Tokat, and Divrigi. After that, we had a regency of Nurbanu, who was the wife, or more like consort, of Mehmed III. She ruled from 25th of July 1503 till 18th February 1508. She converted a couple of provinces or worked on that, but as she was a pacifist, there was no war during the reign of Nurbanu. And then Mehmed IV, our current ruler, got on the throne on 18th of February 1508. And he's gonna lead us in a war against Hungary. However, before we do that, we have to look at what our empire looks like now. So, when we look at the original provinces that we had, remember that was, not Constantinople, but it was Iskidar, Izmit, Bolu, Pengiri, Eskişehir, Bursa, Iznik, Balıkşehir, Çanakkale, Gallipoli, and Bergama. So this is what we started with, if you want to look at it. These are the provinces that we started with, and this is the span of our empire. So when we look at this territory and we look at the population, we've actually seen quite a lot of difference. So we have 238,589 more people living there. 140,302 people are new tenants, making it just slightly over 1.2 million. We have 84,122 nomads. I'm actually kind of surprised that the nomads are still there. I was thinking that the game would suppress them and start reducing their numbers, but they're growing rapidly. Residents, we have 201,758, growth of 13,669. Remember, residents are the people living in the cities. We have 5,706 more nobles, making them 34,609. We have 725 more burghers at 2,641, and we have 1,965 more clergymen, putting them just slightly over 13,000. Together, as I said, the population of this inner territory that we started with grew by 248,589 people to 1,607,655 people. Now, the interesting thing when we look at the stats on the screen that I'm showing you right now is that while they're all actually getting richer, you can see that their average spending in all of the cases is lower than their average income, so they should be getting richer. We can see that the wealth of most of these people, with the exception of nobles who get slightly more rich, and with the exception of clergy who get very slightly more rich, everybody else lost a little bit of wealth, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because of the development that they invested in the industry and stuff like that, but I'm not entirely sure. It still seems a little bit weird, but I don't know all of the inner calculations of the game, so yeah. Still, the weighted average wealth of an average person right now is 15.06 gold, which is 1.01 gold less than we had last time, which was 1607. Now, when we look at the entirety of our empire, the numbers are even more impressive. I'm putting them on the screen right now. You can see that our whole territory grew to 8,904,687 people. So we are just shy of 10 million people living in our empire, which is a growth of 2,798,647 people. Most of this growth is, of course, weighted towards tenants. We gained over 2 million of them, 2,077,315. We have gained quite a lot of nomads also, quite a lot of residents too, which is good, 452,728. And then you have the nobles, 57,000, burghers, 12,500, and clergy, 21,444. Now again, and even worse than before, pretty much everybody got poorer. Slightly poorer, but poorer. The only exception is the clergy. And even the total weighted average went down quite significantly. The good news is that everybody is getting richer right now. I think this might be, in this case, it might be because we added a lot of poor territories like the Balkans and, the northern territories north of Kaffa. Kaffa itself is one of the richest provinces that we have, but, the Seversky Donetsk and Crimea and, stuff like that. And that might just be why it's getting worse. But I'm not entirely sure what's behind it. Anyway, now let's look at our most developed urban provinces. So I'm putting them on the screen right now. You can see that there is quite a lot of them. We have actually 2 more than we had in the review last time. What's interesting is that most of the total development of these provinces went up. What is not that great is that most of the urban development went down. So the development of Bursa, Izmit, Ankara went down, the urban one. We had a little bit of growth of 1 point in Kütahya and Konya from 7 to 8 and from 8 to 9. And we had a drop in Halkidiki from 4 to 3. We had a growth in Constantinia from 6 to 7, which made me really happy. Growth in Eskişehir from 4 to 5. Same in Chaldea, 7. But Kaffa, as you can see, has urban development of 19. It is unbelievably developed as far as urban population goes compared to everyone else. And we really have to start investing a little bit more into it. I know that Kaffa is a little bit, on the side of our interest, but really, the city has huge amenities. It has primitive road network and a trading harbor. I think it might do well if we invest in a military harbor there and some better roads and definitely garrison. Because I think they definitely would benefit from that. And they have a level 2 fort. So Kaffa and Constantinople are going to be the first candidates for level 3 fort once we get them available. Actually, when is that going to be? Are you going to tell me that? I think you can tell me here, right? Military technology level 46, so that's 5 more technologies away. Well, either way, as you can see, Kaffa is, and even in the development map, you can see that it shines like a beacon. Its total development being 27, which is just 1 point lower than Kütahya, and when it comes to Constantinople, you can see that it's like so much higher. Eskişehir having 26 is also pretty impressive though, but most of it is really coming from the rural development, which is not exactly what I like that much. Anyway, we have increased our dominance in the trade area. You can see that the Aegean Sea, I'm also going to put additional statistics on the screen right now. We now have 57.12% dominance, which is about 10% more than we had in year 1449. And that is even considering that the original trade value of Aegean Sea was 281 and now it's 548. So it is nearly double of what we had before. So while our current value there is 313, it used to be 143. So really a huge boost. In Anatolia, we used to have 81%, 81.05, 81.08. Let me correct that, 81.08, and now we have 84.68. So even though it also grew from 85.1 in trade value to 111, we have even gained a little bit more, and we have a higher share. In Black Sea, we used to have 61.95% of the value, now we have 83.19. Again, the node grew more than double its value. It used to be 113, now it's 238. And Levantine Sea, we used to have 8.55%, now we have exactly 50. It used to have a value of 97, now it's 250. And our share used to be 8.29, now it's 125. So great job. Now we're going to get to those that are not that under our control, let's say. Dniester, it used to be 30, now it's 67 in value. We used to have 5.8, now we have 19. So again, we grew from 19.18% to 28. Doing good, but still need a little bit more value there. Jazeera used to have 52.1, now it's 73.6. We used to have 4.3, and that's one of the only ones where we actually dropped 4.3% value before. Now we have 3.56. Where actually is Jazeera? I am not sure what falls into that. You are Levantines, hey? Ah, this is Jazeera. Okay, that makes sense why we have pretty much no value in it. Because the only area is Merdin and Hissen Kaifa, which is part of our vassal. Okay, well, either way, that makes sense that, that's not something where we are very dominant because we don't even have any territory there. Lower Danube, we used to have 5.82%, now we have 18.85%. That node, however, didn't grow much. It used to be 44.9, now it's 41.9. So not much, going there. Though considering where the Lower Danube is... wait, where is it? Oh, it's here. Okay, well, I thought it was here. I'm so stupid. That's Dnieper, but okay. But the same argument goes. We pillaged most of this territory in our last war, so the fact that it didn't grow at all makes complete sense. Then you have the Caucasus, used to be 27.3, now it's 40.4, and we increased our share from 6.45 to 13%. And we are now present in 2 more nodes. One is Volga, which could be... It's here, okay. I don't think we own any territory there, do we? No, we're just at the border. But Volga has a 15.7 trade value. We have 2.62 out of it, which is 16.69%. Again, I understand why this territory has no value. It's just, Mongols and people killing each other on horsebacks, but, gotcha. And the second one is Dnipro. We've already talked about Dnipro, and there the value of the entire note is 45.5, and again we have 2.62, 5.76%. Again, we don't have any territory in it, but I guess our alliance with Lithuania is giving us some trade power in that area. So, with that said, we can now look at our favorite category, which is the starting cities. So you know that we have been, the main cities for us. So you know that we were looking at Constantinople, Iskidar, Bursa, and Edirne. And in the previous update, Constantinople had a huge shrinkage of population. Well, that's gone now. We actually grew in all categories. As you can see on the screen now, we have grown the total population by 13,605 people. 10,314 of that are in the rural area, 2,211 in the urban, and 1,080 growth in notables. Iskidar also grew by 13,489 people, which is great because, before it used to grow by, single thousands, and now it's such a huge growth. 10,122 in rural area, 2,724 in urban, and 643 in notables. Bursa is the only one that actually had a little bit of a shrinkage in the urban population, but overall the city has grown by, again, 13,446 people, and Edirne grew by 7,000 people, fairly in line with everything else. So our core cities has grown really nicely. Now the taxes. Taxes are always an interesting topic, aren't they? Well, we've looked at it in the previous episode in the Intermezzo how it works, and I'm going to show you it here as well. It has gone up significantly. The current tax revenue in 1510 from our entire empire is 605 gold, 0.097, which is a difference of 235.838 gold since the last update, which is huge. Unfortunately, 169.5 of that is falling to the increase in corruption, which used to be 268, now it's 438. Still, our total increased from 100.62 to 166.95. So there is some efficiency increase because, we got what? What would that be? Like 50, roughly 50, not even a 50% increase in revenue, but the total increase in gold that we are earning is way more than 50%. So slight increase, but the corruption is still consuming pretty much, everything that we want. It's a hydra that we will continue to battle. When you look at the peasantry total, they are giving us the most in taxes, 104.92. Interestingly, we now have the chattel tax, which we didn't have in the previous update. It's not a major income, but it's still 4.24 gold. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the chattel tax. I wasn't, so I have to Google what it is. Turns out chattel tax is similar to property tax, but on objects that you can move. So I would say it's horses, carts, stuff like that. So basically on your personal property that can be moved from one place to another. So just another way how we can, pillage the income of our subjects. When you look at residents, 29.081. Again, the chattel tax appeared interestingly. Nobles are paying us 72.315. Let's read it like that. Chattel tax again appeared. I kind of like that their income is coming mostly from obligations, 52.031, which is nearly 72% of the entire income. While if you remember, in the peasantry, we had most coming from fees and rents. So it shows you the different structure in the economy of the game. Burghers are paying us 17.97, so almost 18 gold. Most coming from fees, a little bit from property inheritance, and a very small one from chattel. And clergy are finally paying us something. If you remember, we were about to introduce the taxation to them in the previous episode, and in the previous Intermezzo episode, just to be clear. And thus, in the previous one, they were paying us slightly over 0.3 gold. Now, they are paying us 8.886, which is, a couple 100% increase. Actually, it's not a couple, it's a couple 1,000% increase. That's pretty good. They have it split between fees, land, property. They're paying all kinds of taxes and a pretty decent inheritance tax, 25.75% of their income. Interesting. Either way, now we can look at the next part, which is the industry. Industry is always fun, but before we had... I'm going to split it again between the core territory and the whole territory, but I'm going to show you both at the same time so you can compare it side by side, because the numbers are kind of interesting. When you look at the entire territory, I'm going to skip the part of the original one because that is the part of the entire, and you can see just the production difference. The territory is booming, which is great. The whole territory production, including the new territories that we gained, grew also pretty dramatically compared to the previous year. However, there are some places where we're starting to suffer. We never had a problem with food. We were always self-sufficient. If I look back at my numbers, we always had a huge surplus. And this time, even though our production increased by, what would that be, more than 25%, we're running short. We're actually about 10% short. So that means we have to import a lot of food into our territory, or otherwise famine would strike us. So that really puts a little bit more pressure on us to remain peaceful with some of our neighbors and keep relations good, because if we don't, the growth of our population could be severely stifled. And I'm hoping that we're going to see more investments into agriculture from our investment manager, because there's a lot of territories in the north and in the Balkans, and even in the Levantine and onward, where we could grow a lot of crops. I'm not going to speak about the rocky Greece, but we could probably grow a little bit more in the area. I'm not sure how fertile the territory in Transylvania and Lower Hungary is, but I'm pretty sure this is all... Can we see the rain? Yeah, this is all great flats, so there's probably a whole lot of good terrain here that we could get for agriculture. Another one that we're suffering with is fiber, but we've always been suffering for fiber. And kind of interestingly, we increased the production by 79.68, or actually 79.69 if we round it up. And it's still not enough, we're just not keeping with the demand. So, let's see if that is going to improve. I guess that's part of the industry. But again, what do I know? Then there's the fuel. We used to have a surplus, now we're slightly below the demand, but I don't think that's anything major. We're producing a huge amount of raw materials. We've always had a surplus, but now we're, just business is booming. This is, together with the food, one of the two categories where we increased our production the most. Exotic goods, that's, always something that we're going to be terrible at, but... that's not our fault. Delicacies, though, we're producing a lot of them and more. And delicacies are something that's going to be very important as a trade article in the future. So I'm hoping that we're already exporting a lot of them. Luxury items, we also had a little bit of a deficit last time. And we had a deficit in naval. This deficit has been removed and we now have a surplus. We also have a huge surplus in military. We have a surplus in consumer. As you can see, there was quite a lot of growth in consumer. And we have a surplus in commerce and even knowledge now, which is good because I like the fact that now we have a demand of 26.37. Before we really... we had... It's kind of hard to explain what I mean here. The growth of knowledge production is equal to the growth in demand, while still leaving a little bit for export. That's how I would like to put it. Okay. Now, next thing is the military. You guys know that, in the military, we are doing pretty good. We've been boosting our military significantly. We used to have 23 forts, now we have 32. We used to have 12 infantry regiments, now we have 14. So not a big growth there. But we used to have 6 cavalry regiments, now we have 8. And we used to have 4 artillery regiments, now we have 8. So a decent growth overall. Pretty much we had, 22 regiments, now we have 30. Which is, a decent growth for that area. Total manpower, we used to have 38,160, now we have 54,840. That's in line with the growth of our empire, so I'm happy with that. Ships is where we made the major leap. We used to have 27, now we have 64. And we've gotten quite a lot of technologies. We used to have 25 in all 3 categories, now we have 31, 32, and 31. And the fact that we can get 32 here in bulletproof armor is actually going to be reflected in the next episode after this, where I'm going to start by taking that technology. What is actually a little bit interesting as well is the fact that we are now again the 5th biggest world power. The fact that the development has grown so significantly, because when I look at the previous numbers, we used to be 8th. And our rating in development was 869. Now it's 1323. Okay, 126 is coming from the subjects, but our own development has still jumped quite significantly. And the development divided by our current technology cost is now 55, used to be 36. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but it increased pretty much for everyone, so it's good. And again, the nations that are here are all different than they used to be. France is the only one that actually was on the table. It used to have development of 933, now it has 1169. Shen is not here. Targ is not here. Dongying. Okay, Dongying became the biggest nation. Okay, so that one is on the table. It used to be 3rd with 1155. And that's 1594. She dropped to 7th place. It used to be 5th. It used to have 1,029. Now it has 1,088. Jaipur is not here. France, we spoke about, and Osmanli Devleti is here as well. And Castile is new from the European. I'm actually kind of surprised by Korea being here, but then when you look at here, you start to understand. I somehow missed that. It's kind of interesting to see their development. They really are going hard, aren't they? And their city of Yerim has a development of 5624 urban for the rural. And there is 425,000 people living in just this one province. There's their capital over here, which is much less developed. Largest city on the subcontinent. How are you guys not the largest city? Residents 87,000. Wow, you have really more people living in here. Interesting. Yeah, they really are something. Okay, and I guess with that said, that's pretty much all that we might want to say here. What's ahead of us is a future war with Hungary. That's something we've been working towards. And once that is done, we're probably going to try to take down the Mamluks. The goal there is going to be to annex Ramazan and the northern parts of Damascus. And of course Dulkadirs. These guys are bothering me. These have just this one little province, even splitting us from our own territories. So, and this is a valuable one too. 28 urban development, ongoing construction, minus center of production, minus center of learning, minus center of trade. Yeah, and they have a fort here, so Sivash is actually really important. So these three, Sivash, and maybe this, like so. That could be decent enough, and we could get maybe something for Iran and AmukorihSCoffee as well. Annexing AmukorihSCoffee is going to be fun. It's going to cost us 502 diplo power, but it's going to give us a huge amount of territory. But I just don't want to do it, because they're providing us with 8 regiments, and we annex them. For barely going to be able to keep the autonomy here below 90. So I don't really mind having them here. Yeah, we could give you guys this territory. So this could go to AmukorihSCoffee, this could go to us, and that would make it right? I guess so. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. This was fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode, where we are going to talk a little bit more about how we destroy Hungary and what our plans are for dismantling their empire. So join me there.